Sober October, day 20. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. We came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. We made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God. These are the first 3 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, AA, and they provide the big problems the alcoholic faces: powerlessness, unmanageability, and crazy thinking, focusing on those 4 pillars of addiction. We looked at each of these the past few episodes. The steps also give several solutions to these problems, primarily acceptance, we admitted, belief, we came to believe, and surrender, a decision to turn our will over to the care of God. Acceptance and surrender are critical to overcoming and dealing with any problem involving powerlessness, unmanageability, and crazy thinking. And it's what we're focusing on in this episode. To understand what this looks like, let's use the train track illustration used in the Powerlessness podcast. If you haven't listened to that one, go give it a listen. Otherwise, here's a quick refresher. You're in a car, and that car stopped dead on some train tracks. You can't do anything to get the car moving or started. It's stuck, and a train is coming. The train also can't be stopped. You are in the way of an inevitable force coming at you, and it will inevitably crush you if you stay put, trying to get the car moving. This is a problem, not only because you're going to get crushed. The true problem is that you are powerless over the situation, yet you haven't given up yet. Powerlessness drives addiction, compulsive behaviors, alcohol abuse. There is some situation or temptation or moment where the pull is so strong that on our own, we are powerless to win the battle. How does acceptance help us? Acceptance is looking at the situation and seeing it for what it is. Accepting this is real. This is how things are. A train is coming. It can't be stopped. It will destroy me. It will definitely take something from me, my car, and it could wreck my life. When we accept our powerlessness, we accept reality. We accept how things actually are. I have a problem. I have a drinking problem. I'm abusing alcohol. Alcohol is wrecking my life. I see myself turning to alcohol more and more to escape things. I feel like I'm on a dangerous path. This is accepting reality. Now, accepting reality is tough. It takes courage to say to yourself or others, I have a problem. But acceptance is freeing. Accepting your powerlessness actually allows you to choose alternatives, to act in new ways, to get help from others, to trust and to rely on God's grace, to find hope and experience actual change in your life. Acceptance is tough though. Admitting you have a limitation, admitting you have a problem, a weakness, that you're a human, it's tough, but it's necessary. And that's why it's written in step 1. We admitted we were powerless. Nothing else can happen until you accept what is true about you. What does surrender look like? How does surrender help us? Surrender is letting go of the idea or the belief about how you wish things were. We let go of how we think we should be, how others should be, how the world should be. We accept our powerlessness and we surrender our desire to have power. We surrender our will, what we want in the situation. And this frees us to actually seek things that can help us. We surrender and we let go of what we want so we can embrace what we need. In the illustration, what we're surrendering is trying to move the car and save the car. But we can't. So in order to move forward and get out of harm's way, damage, pain that's coming our way, we need to let go of what we can't keep, what we can't control. The car represents all the things we're hanging on to and trying to keep, but ultimately are the things we have to let go of if we're going to change, if we're going to move forward, if we're going to recover. We wish we could get our car started, but we can't. It's dead. Okay, well now what? We undo the seatbelt. We open the door. We walk away from the car. We let go of trying to control the situation, trying to force our will, and accept it's happening, and we act appropriately. Surrender is really hard because surrender is sacrifice. We're letting go of our will. Nothing is more uncomfortable than letting go of the way we wish things were, what we want, our way of doing things. Why? Because we genuinely believe our way is the best way to happiness and safety and love and joy and experiencing all the things we want. But our will led us here. All the negatives and the problems and the unmanageability, all the damage we've identified this month, it's from chasing our will and our wants. I found that the greatest obstacle to actually dealing with being powerless is our own will and our own desires. Specifically, it's our thoughts and ideas and hopes about how we think our life should be and how we should be. We're on those tracks, trouble's coming our way, maybe we accept reality, but we stay stuck because we're stuck thinking this isn't how things should be. This isn't fair. I should be able to handle this. They shouldn't be acting this way. This isn't how I planned on my life going. That thinking changes nothing. It does no good to argue with reality. We always lose because we pretend things are different and we end up making foolish choices. You want to change? You want to avoid consequences of poor decisions? Do you want to do what is right? You need to accept the situation and then you let go of your will for your life and you embrace a different way of dealing with your problems. That's what surrender is, and it leads to the next solution presented in the first 3 steps of AA, a belief in and a reliance on something bigger than myself. This is where we start to wade into the spiritual waters of addiction and alcoholism and compulsive behaviors. Acceptance, surrender, and belief. Belief in something bigger than you, which could also be said another way. Belief in something that's not you. That means surrendering our self-reliance, self-sufficiency, self-determination, all the selfish ways, and starting to truly trust something that isn't me. So, questions to ask yourself before we dive into what we're believing in. Do you have a problem you need to accept? Do you see evidence in your life of a problem? Do you see powerlessness and a lack of control around drinking or something else? Do you see unmanageability because you're trying to solve issues beyond your control? Do you see denial, minimization, justification, rationalization in your thoughts? Will you accept this stuff is real? Will you admit it? Who will you admit it to? And in what ways do you think this is all unfair? What are you fighting to be in control of? And are you willing to let go of your will and your way and embrace a new path? These are questions that many of us had to wrestle with. And at least in my own experience, I found that until I accepted my situation and became willing to surrender the outcome of my life, my will, my way, all of that, nothing changed for me until I accepted and I surrendered. And that's the story for many people. And that's why it's key to recovery and change. That's it for this episode. I hope it gave you some new perspective on your relationship with alcohol and where you're at. Appreciate you listening, and we'll see you next episode.